So, The Polar Express is one of the most nostalgic and classic films from my childhood years. It was released in 2004, and I vividly remember going to seeing it at the cinema, as well as seeing the trailers and whatnot on TV, but also on other home video releases that didn't even have the proper voice acting yet, only Tom Hanks seemingly voicing every single character, even the little kid.
Where?
And this film was such a massive part of my childhood. Even to this very day, my whole family sits down every single Christmas to watch the movie. It's an absolute banger, at least until they arrive at the North Pole. Then it does kind of drag on, but hey, the train part, epic. But despite my love for this movie, apparently the world at large does not agree with me, and honestly, I would say a lot of the world still doesn't agree with me now. Because, let's face the facts, whilst for many, such as myself, the movie was a glorious Christmas adventure, telling the tale of one boy's quest to believe, to trust in the magic of Christmas and Santa Claus, the film itself didn't actually do well. It had a budget of $165 million to $170 million, somewhere in between there, which for an animation in 2004 is a massive budget, a massive number, a lot of money being spent. And on top of that, it only grossed around $314 million. Which wasn't bad, but it's certainly not the number they were hoping for either. After all, Robert Zemeckis and Tom Hanks, they've had a lot of box office successes together in the past. Forrest Gump, a smash hit, grossed $678 million off a budget of $55 million, whilst Castaway brought in $429 million off a budget of $90 million. Those are massive hits, a lot of money being made, even after you factor in those hidden advertising costs that don't get put into the budget. But yeah, it felt like this film was well and truly diminishing returns on the partnership. It didn't make enough to justify its existence. But then on top of that, it was very divisive for both critics and audiences. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 56% critical score and an audience score of 64%. So a bad score and a pretty average score. And in my experience, and from reading through a lot of the reviews, you either love this thing or you hate this thing, and there's no real in between. And we often see particular emphasis put on the visuals. Because let's be real, even if you love the film like I do, you have to admit, you have to face facts. Even by 2004 standards, this film looks demonic. Those kids are cursed. I mean, look at this. Look at this, and try to tell me it's top tier animation. And then once you've told me that lie, and we've all finished laughing, we can take a look at The Incredibles, which came out in the same year and has much better visuals. And so in all honesty, I was actually rather surprised when I read that there were any plans at all for a sequel. Like, what? You have a film that's reception was middling at best and was a box office disappointment. Why would you even want to make a second one? What company would sign off on this? What producer? Who would want to fund something that could be such a massive financial risk? And so I thought about it for a little while, and I tried to come up with some sort of reason as to why they'd even think about making this movie. And two major things presented themselves to me. Two major reasons as to why they may try again. And the first is just technology. Motion capture for animation. It's come a long way since those days. So I think they probably feel far more confident in being able to make a movie that genuinely looks good. Because honestly, I suspect that did play a role in the film's lack of relative success. Because it was still successful, just not enough. In that the character models, they were and are very, very ugly overall. Truly hideous. You can't look at them and think, oh, this is decent animation even for the time. It's a product that looks unfinished. And I'm sure it turned people off.
He's got those Polar Express eyes.
And so yeah, part of me thinks that releasing a sequel that looks good is going to go a long way to encouraging people to buy a ticket. But at the same time, if the technology was expensive back then, it would still be expensive now, wouldn't it? Perhaps even more so. So good chance the budget's going to be even more inflated. And you might end up with the exact same problem, that the film makes money, but not enough to justify its existence considering the massive budget. Considering the expense that it took to make this film a reality. And so then, we come to my second idea as to why this film is even in the works. Nostalgia. Everybody knows that nostalgia sells. Everybody knows it's going to well and truly sell tickets. We've seen so much stuff in the last decade that's specifically designed to capitalize on nostalgia of multiple generations whilst also capturing the attention of new generations too. Stranger Things, the Mario movie, various reboots and reunions, long-awaited sequels. Everything from your childhood, whether you were born in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, it's all coming back. But now it's time for the kids that grew up through the early 2000s, such as myself, to step up to the plate. I mean, hell, if you were born, as in born the day this movie came out, the day it premiered, by now you'd be a full-grown adult. So it's for people like me who were kids back then, and who are now adults and supposedly have their lives together enough in order to be able to go and pay and see this film. Yeah, good luck with that. And so I kind of do get why they're doing it. I'm not sure if it'll actually work out like that, and hell, I'm not even sure that it'll make it to production anyway. This is all just theoretical at this point from the news and reports. Nothing certain until it's on screen. And so yeah, the plot. Because with that being said, it felt like the film well and truly concluded its story. Like it's over with, it's done, it's finished. The kid believes forever because of his experiences. And so I don't think you can necessarily follow on from that. You can't follow on from Hero Boy's experiences in that way. You can't just make him come back the next year a little bit older and wiser. It wouldn't work. And you can't do it for his little sister, because we know from the ending of the first one, she ends up not believing. And at the same time, I do not care about a completely fresh set of characters. Sorry. The whole point of nostalgia is you get the good stuff back. And for me, that includes keeping the old protagonist. But what you can do, I think, is move on for 1 or 2 generations. Either his kid no longer believes in Santa and the magic is fading, or that's happening to his grandkids and it's making him sad. Also, bring back Hero Girl. Marry them off, damn it. Give me what I want. That's what I need. But yeah, either have his kids or his grandkids be doubters. And of course, on Christmas Eve, the Polar Express arrives, and either the kids get on alone, with OG Hero Kid watching on from the window smiling, happy they get their chance at meeting Santa and visiting the North Pole, and that they'll have the magic of Christmas restored to them and become true believers, yada yada yada, that's fine and dandy, whatever. But I think the even better idea, far more exciting idea, is if Dad/Grandpa pulls a fast one on the conductor once again and stows away on the train. I know that the old conductor guy would probably be dead by that point, but I don't care. Just have him age at a much slower rate than a normal person. He's a magic Christmas person. Deal with it. But anyway, the more I think about it, the more I think the story I want to see fits far better as a grandpa with his grandkid heading to the North Pole. Probably a granddaughter this time. As, grandpa, granddaughter, that's a dynamic I've always enjoyed seeing on screen. It's very wholesome. Plus, the main kid was a boy last time, make it a girl this time. Tom Hanks would obviously be playing the lead character, otherwise, why are we even here? Tom Hanks played like 7 characters or something ridiculous in the OG film. He has to be in it. He has to do it. He has to be the lead. And yeah, they have the adventure on the train, they grow closer, kid becomes a believer, they meet Santa, have a pretty wholesome and yet poignant ending, just like they did in the first one, where whilst he became a true believer, everybody around him slowly lost their belief in Santa and Christmas until it was only him. And I mean, I'm not getting paid enough to write the entire storyline, so I have no idea what the ending should be, but maybe he's sick, and thus he becomes the new Christmas ghost at the end and he dies and turns like Yoda, he just fades away. That's a bit sad. Or maybe he becomes the new conductor, I don't know, who can really say? There's lots of potential there. But the money lies in the time skip. Not with a brand new cast of characters or a film set the next year, but with the same guy with a time skip, there's your story, ka-ching! And so yeah, there's not really much else to say other than that for this film. It was a surprise to hear there was interest in it from the creators to make a sequel. I would actually be shocked if it gets greenlit. I think this is all just theoretical, but I am hopeful. Hopeful they get some redemption, and we get to see how far the technology is going to come for this movie. I'm hopeful that we get to see more of the OG characters and how their lives have turned out in the years that have passed. And I'm just also excited to hear that banger soundtrack return and whatever else they come up with. And so, yeah. You know what? Screw it. I'm hyped. Make this movie. Let's go! And so, with all that being said, these have just been my opinions, and now I'd like to hear yours. What do you think of the idea of the Polar Express 2? Are you with me? Should they make this movie? Did you like my ideas for it? Maybe not. I'm curious for your thoughts, so make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know.